Hello parents, it's nice of you to join us here today for the lower elementary camp information session. I'm joined here today by Wanda from A-Team, who's organised many of our camp experiences for us over the years, and I'm sure we're all very excited and looking forward to this camp experience that we're going to have over the summer. So what we'll do, I'll hand over to Wanda now and she's going to take us through a little presentation. If at any time you have any questions, please type them through on YouTube on the chat box. I can't actually type back and reply on there, but I can see the question and I'll bring it up with Wanda at the end. We'll try and work through them all as best we can. If you do have any questions after the information session that you think of in the next couple of days, please just email me and I can make sure we get a response to you. One of the questions just now that did come in was asking about the recording of this session. This session is all recorded and it will still be accessible via the same link at any time later on. And I'm going to be sending you guys an email later about that with some other information. So I'm going to hand over to Wanda now, who's going to take us through the lower primary camp info session.
Hi parents, thank you very much. Some of you I've met already and others are new. I'm going to take you through a PowerPoint. Now this PowerPoint, I'm going to leave it with IMS and it's going to be available online as well, so you don't have to take pictures of it right now. Everything is going to be made available. There are going to be many slides that I'm not really going to go through. It is really for first-time parents to introduce who we are and who the team is, so that parents can be rest assured that who are the staff that's going to be delivering the program to their children, and a bit of background information about us as well. So I'll go through those slides very, very quickly and leave our website and contact information as well. And at the end, should you have any questions, then please feel free to ask them. And if you think of it later, then please just email myself, which I've left the email address, or to Bill, and we'll try to get those answers to you as soon as we can. All right, let's start the PowerPoint. So a little bit about A-Team. We've been running programs for IMS for about 5-6 years now, and this is one for the lower primary, and it's our water safety program as well as our marine education. So a little bit about the team. A-Team Adventures has instructors coming from all over the world, including Canada, US, and New Zealand, and Australia as well. And each one of our staff is first aid certified and wilderness first aid certified. So here are a few slides of the people who will be running the program and who are on program with your children. I won't go through them one by one, but you have a sense of who we are and what we specialize in and our qualifications, as well as our certifications for first aid and rock climbing, water safety, and all of that is available. And BB, the administrator, who you'll be sending all your information to, or collecting it online as well. The ratio for our activity is followed by EDB guidelines, and that's 1 instructor to 6 children in the water, and 1 to 12 children if we're doing a mangrove study or a nature study program. Now this is not including some of the IMS staff that may be participating with us, so the ratio is actually far higher than that. This program is going to take place in Moiwa, and I think a lot of the parents know where Silvermine Beach is. It's going to take place just off of the main beach, and this was last year, a picture of the students there swimming, and the whole area is well shaded. Now, parents, we are doing grade 1, 2, and 3 on water safety, and this is a water safety program that A-Team has devised through many of the international standards that we have sort of borrowed from. And so if your child is in grade 1, they'll probably start with the introduction and the beginners, and then in grade 2 we actually move to the intermediate, and then grade 3 the advanced, and then experts. We actually do that for the 3-day camp, where they actually learn a little bit more about rescuing in water and so forth. And this will also be left online, but these are some of the skills for each one of the levels that the children will be going through in their water safety, from simple things of blowing water and blowing bubble in the water, to learning how to turn over into their backs in level 1, to being able to identify some dangers and know how to call for help, to the advanced levels where they would actually be able to tow someone in the water. So at this time they'll be all wearing a life jacket as well. They'll also be doing an intertidal studies, where they'll actually look at some of the marine life and what it lives on the rocky shores. They'll look at the tide lines and some of the limpets and some of the sea anemones that they'll find around the shore, identify some of the seaweeds and plants that grow in the area. And these are the pictures from last year as well. So they found some fish and some starfish right on the coast. And that's part of the habitat discovery, where actually the 2 boys there are holding sea cucumbers. That's what we found along the shore. So there's all sorts of life that we can find in the Rockies, the intertidal zones. They'll also be looking a little bit at marine debris and some of the small pieces of rubbish that we'll pick up on the beach, and looking at the how long it takes for them to biodegrade, and learn a little bit about how the human impact on the environment as well. And here's a little quiz for you, parents. How many years does it take for a plastic bottle to decompose, say, in the water? Does it take 20 to 30, 50 to 100, 200 to 300, or 450 plus? So these are some of the, if you don't know this, your kid will when they come home, so you can actually quiz them. They're going to learn a little bit about how things decompose in the water, so that they can be able to make better decisions of products that comes into the home as well. They'll also be doing something called SUP, which stands for Stand-Up Paddleboard. And they will be working in teams to get the paddleboard into the water. They'll learn some basic strokes and how to hold on to the paddle. And then they'll do a lot of team building on that as well, like getting onto the paddleboard, maybe 2 to 3 of them, this one 4, for example, and having some fun and learning to help each other on. The shady areas for lunch and snacks, the entire area we've checked all day. There are trees in that area, so it's very, very well shaded for lunch. And there will be some areas on the beach as well that has trees and picnic tables. The children are going to be spread out, about 6 per group with their instructor for lunch, and so they're not going to gather all into one area for lunch. And we will have plenty of hand sanitizers, as well as with each of the groups, a small bottle of soap and water where the children can actually wash in the facilities. Now, the Muiwa facilities is very, very new. It was just built last year. So here's some pictures of the change room. There are about 12 individual change rooms, and then a shower area. And as you can see in the back, there's about 20 little sort of sinks where children can actually wash their hands and so forth, and a westernized toilet and all of that. So that's very, very clean. Here is the schedule. We're going to start at 8 o'clock. We're going to meet at Pier 6 for the slow ferry to Muiwa. And the day that they rotate through all of the activities that I just talked about, and they take the 3:30 ferry, and they will arrive back into Pier 5, which is actually the Chenchao Pier, because the ferry for that one berths at a different pier at Pier 5 at 4:10. So the parents can be there around 4 o'clock. The students will actually arrive right into Central by 4:10, and you can pick them up off of the ferry. I do have a packing list for you, and these are the water shoes that we would love for the children to have, so they can have closed-toe shoes to protect their toes. There are going to be small pieces of shells, if not glass and things like that, and having closed-toe shoes would protect their feet. Crocs are not acceptable because they just float away in the water. The sandals, the open-toe sandals, are not acceptable as well. Here's the packing list. As you can see, they'll need a day pack with all of the items that is on here. But notice that it's going to be a self-packed lunch and snacks. Because of COVID, we really want to make sure that for each of the children, we know who's packed the lunch, what is inside the lunch, And so we're asking parents to actually provide the lunch and pack that as well, and as well as the snacks. And for each one of the snacks and lunchtime, we will get the children to wash their hands and so forth before they proceed to eating their snacks and lunches. They will need a water bottle, sunglasses with tides because they're going to be in the water. They'll need a t-shirt and shorts as well. Now last year we had some kids who just wore their bathing suit, and there was some chafing on that because of the life jackets. So this year we're asking parents to give the kids a t-shirt. It could be a cotton t-shirt or it could be a rashi, and to have a pair of shorts that they can get wet in as well. Because for the younger kids, there's the life jacket actually has a strap that goes around their legs as well, to just sort of like make sure that the life jacket doesn't come up over their shoulders. So that would help them from the chafing as well. A large plastic bag to put all their wet clothing in, towel, sunblock, chapstick, hat, a swimsuit, closed-toe shoes, and insect repellent. All of that can fit into their day packs as well. And here's the schedule again at the end, just to note that we are meeting at Pier 6 and we are coming back at Pier 5. If there are any questions, then let us know, please.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Wanda. Thanks for all the information. As Wanda said at the very beginning, all of this we will send out later today. I know many parents are wondering when they can actually sign up for these days. So what I will be doing is sending an email to you today around 4 o'clock. With the links to rewatch the presentations if you've missed them, and also with a form for you to fill in to confirm which days you can attend camp. So what we'd really hope is that you can fill in multiple days. So please try and choose at least 2 days, because if for some reason one camp is over-enrolled, or if one day doesn't have enough children, then that day won't run either. We'll try and shuffle people onto one of their other choices. So please, when you click on the form later, click as many days as you can for possibilities for your child to attend camp. If you do have any questions now, please add them onto the YouTube chat box. I'm just going to have a look here. So one question here, how do you manage arrangements for children who are currently non-swimmers?
That's a great question. So the area that we have, we're going to be swimming right by the lifeguard section. So except for the SUP that's going to be going into the ocean, they are actually in an area that is netted, and it's very much a gazetted beach, so very well clean. But every child is going to have a life jacket, especially the non-swimmers. But if they're in level 2, we're going to probably start with them going into the water up to about their armpits without one, just so that they can actually learn the strokes and things like that. But we have a line of staff that is actually what's doing the water safety, that are about up to their armpits in water. So the children are never going to swim further than where my line of staff would be as well. So they won't actually go over their heads, for especially if they're non-swimmers.
Yeah, but I can speak for this one as well, because I often station myself on the water activities, and I have done for the last few years, and particularly with all of the children, what we're trying to do is challenge them a little, but make sure it's in a safe environment. So we're certainly not going to push anybody to do anything they're not comfortable with, or they feel very nervous or anxious about, but we are going to try and encourage them a little bit to test out some new things. Very rarely will the children, particularly the year 1s and 2s, go any deeper than where an adult can stand. So we're often making the wall as teachers from IMS or from the camp company, and we're sort of the deepest line. We're supporting those children who haven't swam before as well. And they're often in very shallow water doing a lot of these activities, so that they can find their feet after, and they always have that sort of safety element. They know they can always put their feet down and they'll be fine. So it's just trying to develop everybody's confidence in the water, whether they're children who've swam for years and years, or whether it's children entering the water for the very first time. And for some of those children entering the water for the very first time, it might just be getting them into the water and putting their head under the water and coming back up again. That could be as simple as that for some of the children who are brand new and that's a big stepping stone for them. So we'll take every situation as it comes, and I think one of the questions you actually ask is, in the form might be something about the swimming experience as well, so we can help to group children appropriately when they arrive at camp.
Yeah. And when they first arrive, we do a little simple swim activity as well, asking if they've actually even been in the ocean. For many, they can swim in the pool just fine, but they've never been in the ocean. And being in the ocean, you're a lot more buoyant because it's salt water. They've got a life jacket on, so they're even more buoyant. But also the waves and the undertow, and just getting kids slowly adapted to that, putting their face in and blowing water bubbles and all of that. So that might take a good chunk of time already. And so, like Bill says, it's really about building self-confidence in the water and being able to be comfortable in an open water situation.
So I've got another question here. I think I'll probably answer this one. How many IMS staff will be present and who? So obviously, because of the nature of this camp, because we've had to move it to the summer, no teachers are required to attend. It's solely being run by 18. Now, I'm hoping to get along to many of these experiences. It's not confirmed yet. We don't want to say that there'll definitely be teachers there, but I'm hoping that I can get along to see some of these experiences, see how the children are doing, and there may be a chance some of the teachers may go along as well, but it's not confirmed yet. So we've worked with 18 for many, many years. Many of the children will already know 18 well and be very comfortable around the 18 crew and all their staff, and we trust them 100% based on all the experiences we've had in the successful camps we've had in the past few years. But I'm hoping to get along, and obviously I'll confirm that a little bit later once I know my summer arrangements. So another question here as well. Do we choose our preferred day to join, or children would be assigned to groups according to our availability? Just wondering if children could team up with friends for the camp. It's certainly possible children could go on the same days. Like I was saying before, we want to try and find as many days as possible for each child so that we can try and work out the best fitting. If there's not enough children on one day, we're not going to be able to run that camp, because it's going to be very hard when if there's too many staff for children, or having to split it up too much. So we want to try and get a sort of a fine balance of how many children are going to match the student-teacher ratios with that. But certainly you could try and put in for the same days. If you do have a specific request to be with one child, you can always email me as well if there's an arrangement where a child's been picking up by the same parent. Then please just send an email through, and I can try and make sure they end up on the same day. Okay, how are you addressing the Department of Health's recommendations for physical distancing for the instructors and children?
So we have one instructor for 6 children, and even with the LAN activity, we have one instructor for 12 children, but we're actually going for 1:6 ratio for every single activity for IMS this summer, just because we don't know exactly how many teachers will be there. So everything will be done in very small groups. So one instructor, so each child with 6 children, they're going to be about 2 meters apart, we're hoping, arm's length like this. So they'll be eating in their small groups, and we've got an instructor with them. So they won't be really mixing together in a big place as well. And during weekdays, which this camp takes place, the beach is not crowded at all. It's just the weekends that there are quite a number of people around. So that should be actually fine. And we are actually staggering even our snack break times, as well as our bathroom times, and when each of the groups we're going to have designated sort of little breaks and things like that, so the children are not all rushed into the bathroom at the same time. So that's one, is the staggering time of each group, keeping the groups really small, so that we have one instructor with 6 kids. We're asking the kids to bring their own packed lunch and snacks, so we know who's actually packed it and prepared it. That we've got lots of, for each one of the small groups, we've we've got hand sanitizers as well as soap, so they'll be doing a lot of washing. There's lots of outdoor hand washing facilities on Weibo as well. And if parents want to go and check it out, it's a good idea, and you can see just how many how well facilitated it is. Outdoor and indoor showers, outdoor washing and indoor washing as well. So that's how we're going to try to manage it, so that there's going to be some groups on the beach under the shaded trees, on the picnic table. There's some groups in the covered area, and then there's some groups in the barbecue area as well, that's under the trees as well. So we're going to have small groups everywhere, so that they're going to have their bits of social distancing as much as we can.
Okay, and then we've got another question here. What happens if the weather's as bad as today? Will that session be rescheduled?
Yes, we've got some, Bill and I have some backup dates, and we're probably going to let the parents know when they are. They will be rescheduled, because we hope to be able to provide all children who are able to come to camp the opportunity to do it. If it's possible, maybe we could actually even reschedule it onto the next day, or if it's not over full or subscribed, then we can definitely move it to the next day that the camp's happening. But we also have a few backup dates available as well.
I think what we're hoping to do, we've offered 6 days, and depending on enrollment, if one day is very small, what we might do is keep 5 days for the children to attend, 4 to 5 depending on how many are signed up, and then we can use those others as backup days. And often we'll get in touch early. If it is looking like one day is going to be really bad, we'll try and give those parents a heads up early, and then we can try to let you know potential makeup dates should that not be available. Obviously the makeup date might not work for everybody. We'll try our best to give as much heads up and much time notice as possible if there is some bad weather. But rain isn't too much of a concern normally. It's mainly things like thunder and lightning and so forth. And if there is obviously heavy rain warnings or typhoons, then that's when we have to look at cancelling. Is there any more questions? Don't worry, if you think of something later, you can always email me through. We've gone through all of the questions in the chat box. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so, so please send any other questions through now if you have them. Otherwise you can send them via email to myself or Wanda. Maybe I can give you a little bit of the process of what will happen next. So like I said before, I'll send out my email today. You'll have about a week or so, I think a week to 10 days to sign up for your chosen days. And like I said, please choose as many as possible. And if you have any special requests, just send them to me via email. Now in that email that I'm sending you today, there's also a link for the A-Team Adventures, what do we call it, sort of the medical forms. Please don't fill that in yet. I'm just putting it there so it's ready for you. I'm going to email back to you guys once I've confirmed everybody's dates, and I'll let you know, because that form actually asks you which date you're going on. So I'll just wait till everybody's replies come in. I'll work out all of the days as best we can, and then you'll be able to know which day your child will attend, and then you'll complete that form. After that, what will happen is Wanda will have all of the email addresses, and they'll be in touch with you about any other finer details, maybe regarding the packing list or the weather for the day or so forth, and then you'll be able to keep communications like that until your event. There is one other question that's come in. They need to wear masks throughout. Do they need to wear masks throughout? Should they bring extra masks?
That's a great question. Yes, for the ferry, we would want them to wear a mask. So do bring a mask for that. Bring an extra, because the kids are going to be wet, and sometimes going into their bags and getting things, they might have mucked it up, or they get so excited when they arrive onto the beach and they're just taking it off and they stuff it into their bag. Then that mask might have been destroyed. We A-Team will have extras as well, and we've got some kiddie ones, for the children. But also, I think it's important that you bring an extra, just to prepare that. Put it in a Ziploc bag for the child, for their return journey on the ferry. But during their activities. They're also swimming in salt water. Most of the activities is going to be they're going to be in contact with salt water, and so there's an ability to disinfect already there. And having such a small group of one instructor and just six students, it's very, very manageable. So even though they're quite spread out, the group is still very, very manageable. But yes, please bring a mask on the ferry over and an extra one for the way back. Great question.
Okay, and then there was some question here asking, so the student may not end up with their classmates and their class teacher this year. So yes, so this camp was not going to happen after it got postponed for COVID. We were lucky that AT managed to create some new opportunities for the children that have fallen in the summer holidays to make up for those experiences lost. The teachers will not be there. There is a good chance you can go with some of your classmates. Like I said, if you send a special request to me, I can try to accommodate as much as possible if there's a specific person you want to go with and so forth. And like I said before, some teachers may decide to go along, depending on what their schedule is over the summer break. They may turn up, and we'll obviously let parents know if there is a teacher going along on a day, and I'm going to try my best to go along to as many of these experiences as possible, just to see how things are going and hopefully be a friendly face for many of the students. So I think that looks like we've answered all of the questions. I think we're going to start to sign off now. Like I said before, send through any questions you have again after this. We are more than happy to help answer them. And then look out for the email later today regarding the enrollment form for which day you'd like your child to attend camp. So thank you so much for joining us both today, and we look forward to some great camp experiences. Thank you.
Thank you.